Hi there, I'm Dave Bennett, the owner of Website Marketing Solutions LLC out of Seattle, and I'd like to do a little bit about us so that you can get to understand who we are and how we got here. Our journey building what we have today started way back in 2008. Back then, I was teaching people how to do things like use the Google search keyword tool like an expert, and that's the first two-part trainer I had on my website back in 2008 when YouTube itself was about 3.5 years old, pushing 4. That's then. We've been building the same thing ever since. And so by the time you get through the evolution of the beginning of what we did, something called TFAN, or the final answer now, that was the predecessor to what became something called Moji, mass optimized web page generation. So even back then in 2010, the business that we do today in 2024 is the same business that's been constantly evolving. It's 14 years, 15 years of straight evolution into what we have right now. And so, for instance, if you look at online dictionaries, they often will tell you that the most common use of the phrase Moji is mass optimized web page generation, or hey, NASA's getting popular again, so it's really the Mission Operations Working Group charter as far as NASA is concerned, but we are the next guys down, mass optimized web page generation. So yeah, we're in the dictionary, and the purpose has been to be able to take everything you can do with one web page at a time and maximize the benefit by being able to employ those steps to multiple web pages at a time without cheating. And so all of our tools became more and more advanced and sophisticated over the years, and it led us very, very far. So for instance, 7 years ago, we created 7,000 websites for locksmith dispatchers that they still use today. And so if we look at an old directory listing, this is old, we don't use this anymore, we've evolved past it, but this is still here. There are all these entries, 6,137 results. And if we were to look at the independent pages for that and visit the websites, they're still live. These websites are still in use. You could call the phone number, somebody will answer. And if you go down to the bottom, you're going to find that we created these websites back in 2015, 2016. It took about 1.5 years for us to create a mass deployment vehicle to create totally different websites all at the same time that were useful enough to be completely different websites, say for a large franchise or as referral websites or affiliate websites or partner websites, or in an MLM downline. So everything we did was about creating these totally awesome websites. And yeah, 2015, 2016, still being used today. They renew these domain names every year because it's still valuable. Think 7,000 domains times $12 each. They're spending about $80,000 a year renewing the websites. That's per year. And they've been doing it at least 7 years now. So you're talking about over $500,000 just in domain costs, let alone servers and so forth. Now, if we were to step forward and take a look, I just want to show you a handful of other things to kind of make the point that we've been around through many iterations. So we are really experts at SEO and something we call mass SEO, which we coined. It's the idea of creating divergent yet equally powerful approaches on two different websites so that they are not similar at all. They don't have footprints. They're completely different, and yet they're extremely powerful. So if I were to look just at some things and try to make some simple points, what might I show you? For instance, how about this? This is way back in the day when we created a bunch of websites for plumbing, one big plumbing dispatcher outlet to feed leads to a few plumbing companies in New York. When we did it back in the day, you could do this kind of thing. It wasn't black hat, it was gray hat. Google didn't have a rule for it. But we created a location on pretty much every city block. So we had a different website at each of these red dots. Okay, so anyone driving around who needed a plumber checked on their phone, they would see the closest plumber to them first. which would probably be one of the red dots. So they'd call the number, would go to the dispatch lady, and she would answer the phone, and she would dispatch the next Tom, Dick, or Harry plumber who was available in the area to do the job. Okay? Very efficient, very impressive. We can't do this today, but that's what I mean. We've gone through many, many iterations of how you play the game right at this very large level. Everything we do is white hat. Some things are naturally gray hat because there are no rules. Anything black hat, we don't touch. We don't like doing black hat anything. So what else can I show you? Just our evolution. There are different things to show. Of course, there's too many. This right here actually is specific to those locksmith websites. When we started in 2015, of course, there was no traffic on those websites. It grew rapidly over the next next year and then over the years. Sometimes it would kind of sink down because nobody was doing anything to improve upon the websites. Then they'd push it up for a while, then it would sink, then they push it up, it would sink. Finally, right around here, they just said, hey, what can we do to really cross a new level now? We had 4 years worth of growth, so we have much better tools now, stepped into 2020 and so on with just incredible tools. Okay. So when you're talking about like 9,000 first time visits, and here's the secret, we only put tracking on 1/3 of the websites. We didn't realize that we'd even be saving the graphs. We were just making sure that traffic would start. That was it. So the reality check is the numbers are 3 times as large as you see here for everything happening on this graph. What else can I show you? Tricks like, would it be this? Yeah. You take a keyword. It's one thing if you can be one of the results on the front page, but that's like if you have 10 cups upside down on the table and there's a red ball underneath one of them. That would be you. If these are the cups, the red ball is your website. Which one is it? Say I'm trying to pick it, right? Because that's what you're hoping I do. You invite me to sit down and pick a cup, right? And you're hoping, please, man, that I pick the one with the ball underneath it, right? How do you make more money? You be more of the front page results. How are you more of the front page results? You create totally diverse websites that can fit in across a spectrum of keywords. And so when you do that, you can be many of the front page results, keyword by keyword by keyword. Where you can be all 10, be all 10. Where you cannot be all 10, be all 9 that you can be. Where you cannot be 9, be 8. Where you cannot be 8, be 7. But that's saturation. That's where you're really working the biggest possible umbrella of leads, umbrella of keyword combinations, flip it upside down. That's the filter that you capture the most traffic in. And so we can do that kind of thing. We always have. And it's fun because we've had people, send us their results over the course of time. For instance, if you're wondering what some of these oddball clippings are here, okay, this is where we made our point in 2020 when we had nothing better to do. All the companies were closed, right? And so we said, let's just sit down and rank a whole bunch of websites that were on page 4, page 5, and shove them up. So for instance, we took guys that were down low, guys that were in the middle. We took guys that were low on the front page. We took guys on page 2. But we just went every industry times large cities and small across the nation. We grabbed like 700 companies and we forced them to rank higher. See how rank says number 1? That means the number 1 position for this keyword, okay, for that URL. All right, so if you type that at the time into Google, you would see that URL in the first spot. And we shoved it up 25 positions to get it there. So it was on page 3. All right, this one, Dermatology and Laser Surgery Center, for in that area, right, they showed up in the first spot, 20 positions up. All right, we pushed them. We've just pushed tons of websites up like that. Over and over and over again. It's just lists and lists and lists and lists of this. So that's why they're here and look kind of odd or quirky till you open them up. Anyway, I've got, 2012, a guy was talking about using our Moji UAP, Universal Affiliate Page version. And in less than 3 weeks, beating some of the biggest players out there. When I'm saying big, I'm talking about none other than banks. Can't go into detail because I don't want the competition. Sorry, but he makes his point, and I have just so many of these from guys over the years. This fellow said, I've got all of page 1, most of page 2, and a couple spots on page 3. Your program's getting so good, I want to be selfish and say don't sell anymore. And that was over 10 years ago, okay? We've just got so many things going on. That's absolutely nuts. Guys making a lot of money and guys getting a lot to happen. So when we say that we know what we're doing, I'm not kidding. We've been around this block a long time. We're the kind of guy that SEO guys come to behind the scenes to ask us questions because we can perform 1,000 tests at once and therefore get 1,000 answers at once. A simple graph like this, I think there was a better version of a graph like that. This client tracks his daily traffic. We got him 17 times as much daily traffic in just 1 month. As a result, he went from 1 to 2 sales per month to 3 to 4 sales per day. Okay, so about 8,400 per year. Trade that in for 142,800 per year. And this is just fun. I mean, for us, the stuff we do. This company's run kicked in so hard that in 3 weeks, they had to go to Craigslist and start hiring more people for their business. Simple construction for homes, tilers, flooring installers, hardwood flooring. They just need guys for steady work. And all of it, they had to throw up on March 15th because we were transforming their business. All of a sudden, they were a lot bigger than they used to be. They were getting a lot more demand, and they needed a lot more people to handle up on it. So we've been at this forever. Guys just talking about it this month. He got his first product review site going. And this month, whatever it is, he's earned over 1,400 in commissions, pretty much running on autopilot. We've got so many things like this happening. And yeah, that's 2012 to now. We're still in the same business, still doing the same thing, but what's different? We have built remote control software by now that allows us to generate websites, deploy them to the domains where they belong on Amazon level servers, top of the line AWS servers, the best you can buy publicly. And we're spread strategically across the nation so that we can have the shortest latency or fastest load times anywhere in the nation for our clients. And the benefit of doing all this at a level of mass production like that, coupled with really beautiful templates by now. I mean, we've evolved everything we do. We make these incredible websites that load incredibly fast, and we can do it cheaper than anyone else because we have more efficiency built into our process. We made our own CMS, which means if you've heard of WordPress, that's a CMS. If you've heard of Foursquare, that's a competitive CMS. Joomla, Weebly, Wix, these are all CMSs. And what we realized was that when we looked through CMSs that were out there, we weren't seeing any that had the kind of power that we wanted. They didn't do the sorts of things that we wanted to be able to do. And so we built our own. And in the act of building our own, we made it possible to do everything we cared about. So by now, we have remote control tools that allow us to mass control thousands of pages on hundreds to thousands of websites, sometimes per day. We can change phone numbers. We can improve title tags. We can update meta descriptions. We can append content to pages that exist. We can write new pages into the website and choose whether they should show up in the menu or not. But we can do all of this remotely through tons of websites, which means what? That we did, in fact, achieve what we started off to achieve, which was absolutely maximize the benefit you can get out of the work you do. So when you do the work once, you can do it multiple times without cheating, without cutting corners, without having footprints. And we've pulled that off. So when you work with us, you're working with an incredible solution because we can do more for less than anyone else. You can check us against anybody's bids for a similar kind of work, and they're going to tell you there's no way in hell they can do it that cheaply. For instance, we asked an SEO guy once, how long does it take you to create 100 cPanels for a client that's large? Say you're going to do a franchise and you're going to set up the cPanels. He did the math. He said about 2 minutes per cPanel, so 200 minutes. It's like, okay, 200 minutes it would take you. It's 3 hours and, what is that? 3 hours and 40 minutes? You may as well just go to lunch after that, right? 3 hours and 20 minutes. And so then when you come back, how long would it take you to create wildcard subdomains? And the guy said, about 2 minutes each. I said, so one day it would take you to do that, for a client. And we haven't even uploaded templates yet. There's no website set up yet. And the guy said, yeah, they would take his whole day to do that. And I'm thinking, I wonder how much the client would have to pay for that to get done. With us, the last time we clocked it, I think it was 42 seconds to set up 100 cPanels and about another 42 seconds to create wildcard subdomains. And when people upload templates, they have a lot of steps. They have to upload a zip file. Then they have to go create a database user with a password, and assign it to the database, give it full permissions, then upload a SQL file and update a connection.php file or a db.php file after unzipping the zip file in the domain just to get the thing working. If you ask how long it takes them, it's about 2 minutes each. With us, they auto-install one after the next, and they can happen in parallel. So we can do 100 in 5 minutes, 3 minutes if we want. Our remote control instances run on our servers across the nation so that they're the fastest. They work the best. And we can do any kind of job for anybody. And so what happens is you're paying for what you should be paying for, the power, the strategy, the content development, the man hours, but you're not paying for elbow grease labor. You're not paying for somebody to do days and days of elbow grease work that should be automated. We've automated everything you can automate without cutting corners. So it is purely the cleanest sort of work. And that is from years and years of doing every crazy thing in SEO that the world has allowed, that Google's been okay with over years and years, and all the stuff we do, and all the times they've changed and us changing with them, and just constantly proving points, taking websites and just forcing them to rank higher on stacks of keywords without them even knowing what we were doing. We didn't even let people know. There were a lot of companies that started to get a lot more calls and not know why. And that was just, they got lucky. We were testing. And in so testing, we were making our stuff stronger and happened to benefit some companies along the way. Now, we are all about taking underdogs from page 3, page 4, taking small companies that need it because the big companies have plenty of traffic. We need to take small companies and make you guys a lot stronger. And the big companies who want to compete against the other big companies, in other words, they're the underdogs against them, we do that too. So we work with guys large and small. We have packages that work large and small. If you go too small, you get no benefit, or you'd better know what you're looking for. But for everybody who has a budget and understands what we do, we always recommend coming as high as you can up front. Don't kill yourself. I'm not saying kill yourself. I'm saying whatever you're comfortable spending in your budget. But here's the point. You know how you take the car to the auto shop and they're going to open the hood and start to fix the engine, and may as well do everything you can while you're in there. Well, with us, it's kind of similar. There's a certain amount of money we need to set the groundwork. But once that's done, once that is set, then the expansion, right? Dollar for dollar, there's so much more we can do to canvas this empire or army of websites that act like referral websites for you, partner websites for you, affiliate websites for you, dispatch websites for you, and you're not having to pay anybody to send you all those leads, and you're not having to pay per click. The websites do the work. And when it comes to things like backlinks, we have powerful backlinks or websites. We make other powerful websites. We have some of those websites point at some of these websites in random orders with deep page backlinking that actually matches correctly. The anchor text fits the page it points to. And we can do that multi-tiered. So we can use some websites to point to others indiscriminately through a stack that point to others, that point to others, that point to others. So by creating multi-tiered backlinking like that, first of all, it's not a weird footprint. It's not like 100 websites all pointing at one, which Google doesn't like. No, this is thoroughly deep and laid out right. The second thing that's cool is all those websites inevitably pitch you. So you have all these referral or affiliate websites that are saying you're the man for whatever it is that we did the project for. Okay? So think about it. If there were 100 plumbers in your small town, well, mid-sized town, and that means, say, 100 plumbing websites, Google, people are choosing from 1 in 100, right? Well, what if you're some poor guy on page 4 who never figured out how to get a break, and we create 100 websites for you? All of a sudden, there are 200 websites in that area, but every other website happens to be yours. Well, you're going to get more traffic than you can handle, so what do? Rico out the leads to the other guys for a commission. That means that you're actually taking some of your competitors' money as well as all of your own. Okay? So is that legitimate and fair and appropriate and okay with Google? And the answer is yeah, actually. In the organics, Google has really no rules as to who shows up first, second, third. It's just whoever does. Okay? If you do black hat stuff, you can get hit, but if you don't, you're fine. And I've had people say, but you can't be on the front page more than once. And the answer is, of course you can. Think about it the other way around. What's another way to get all the business off the front page for the keyword? Buy all those companies and tell them not to do a thing. Don't change anything on your websites. Well, now all these guys are paying you. Does Google have a problem with that? No, of course not. So we can do a ton for you, and especially with AI. These days, the way we're set up, we can write a perfect web page that's SEO endowed, beautifully and powerfully with the tools that we've created every second and a quarter, and it's scalable. We can still do more. So if you think in terms of a page a second, then the answer is, why haven't we started writing for you yet? Every second that passes is a second wasted. Okay? Start thinking about how you can take your 22-page website and turn it into a 460-page juggernaut that is more authoritative than your competition, and it minimizes niche gaps. In other words, you talk about all the topics thoroughly so that Google loves your site for being a great training platform for everybody. No overlapping topics, so we're not confusing Google by presenting different pages for the same keywords on the same site. But not only can we make one website that does that for you, we can make a bunch of others that do that for you and have all those websites pitch you and backlink through each other on the way to you while pitching you at the same time. So yes, it's an empire of websites that you can use to expand your business to new neighboring cities, expand your growth, get more partners, get more legal professions into your door, whatever it is that makes sense for you for expansion, because we can back you guys with the organic rank to get you tons of traffic without having to pay per click. All right. I hope you find this interesting. Got my contact information below or above. And go ahead and reach out. Anytime you want to talk about your project, give me a call. Okay.